So next move on to the sustainability on glass processing. So what the agenda is colored segregation, reduced material consumptions, reuse, glass wastage in reductions and saving of on energy. Why sustainability? We'll have to reuse, reduce, recycle of our product. So raw glass receipt, storage, cutting, grinding, drilling, washing, tempering, IGU, lamination and dispatch. So these are the typical processing line. So where all you can achieve this sustainability, that's all we are going to talk about now. If you do it, if you handle, I mean if you enable, I mean if you are able to do a proper reuse, reduce, recycle through which this process start from a raw glass material receipt to dispatch, if you start using, you are applying mind on it towards reuse, reduce, I mean recycle it, we can achieve, we can sustain in the world with the people and planet, and but we will have a better profit as well. We are going to discuss about it. Colored segregations, yeah. So what is meant by colored? It's nothing but it's a broken pieces of the glass. You can see this is the colored yard. Okay, you can segregate with the type of the color. Basically colored is it's a broken pieces, that's it. So what is colored? Colored is nothing but broken pieces. It is very important raw material for glass manufacturing. So all the processors should understand that what are the glass breakages you have. So that can be recycled. So if you properly keep it on a respective place, you split into the coated, non-coated, basically clear glass, then thereby we can achieve this. So generated from float glass manufacturing plant, building glass, automobile glass, it has to be free from contamination such as stones, clay, plastic, metals and hazard wastages. And composition of color, nothing but the glass manufacturing itself, I mean raw material is silicon dioxide, I mean silicon oxide, 70 to 71% you can get it from cullet. So calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, sodium oxide, aluminum oxide. So these are the percentage of cullet proportions composition has it. So raw material, the percentage usage of raw, I mean like types of material when you float glass manufacturing. So these are the raw material highly used like sand, dolomite, calcite, soda ash, soda sulfate, sodium sulfate, sorry. So if you, in order to get this 100%, so these are the percentage will helpful for producing the fresh float glasses. So you can see the cullet 15 to 16% will be keep on to the first batch. The batch is nothing but a mix of raw materials and cullet sent to the furnace for melting, and after batch 40 to 80% will goes to the 100%. Basically the cullet compositions 15 to 60% of cullet will help will aid for manufacturing the float glass. So cullet is one of the important resource for glass manufacturing. So this cannot be wasted. This waste is completely is wealth for float glass manufacturing process. Usage 1 ton of cullet reduces recycling of wastage. Okay, we can recycle the complete wastage is what we have as a broken pieces. 1.5 ton of fresh raw material, if you have it, it's just, such a huge resource for raw glass processing. And this is a reduction of 315 kg carbon dioxide emission. It helps. Basically you don't want to burn the fuels such as like this, you can get it through this. So you can see the right side, the more cullet the less of decking. Basically if you provide the more cullet, manufacturer would not get dig, which means the reservoir sand mining, you need not to go and dig it for a glass manufacturing process. So whatever you produce it, you break it, you give it to them, so it will be useful, so it will be recyclable. So the more cullet, you will have a less digging process. So thereby you can use a recycling and reduce your raw material process can be taken place. So this is the handling of cullet, basically the cullet loading and cullet hoppers and convey to the silos, and convey silos will pass on to one place to other place through this conveyor, and discharge silos, basically the silos which has a furnace the top end and feeding to the furnace. on the mouth of the furnace will be fed into the furnaces for burning the material for production of the raw glass. So, let us see what is the contamination: stones, metals, thermocol, tobacco pouches and tonnage pads, aluminum foil, chocolate cover, sweepings and filling in the the fill in the bags and mix off with tins. Okay. So, these are the contaminations. So, stone, metals, thermocol, tobacco pouches, tonnage, aluminum foil, chocolate cover, sweepings, filling in the bags, mix up with the tins. So, these are the normal contamination as you able to see in your respective processing place. When they are stacking or near to the cutting process, you can see there is a 1 yard which processor usually have it. Would not most of the processor have to think whether they have such a contamination they have it. It can be many of the items would have been mixed with this your cullet. So, we will have to identify that one. Sourcing, basically currently cullet being collected from the glass processor, distributors, retailers, shop owners, basically whoever is glass user or glass processor who is able to produce a cullet. Basically when the glass breaks you can have to store. By suppliers like Omaha Enterprises, Shaw's, there are so many suppliers. Processor responsibility, which means you have a respective place for storing this cullet. You will have to make a proper cullet bin and segregation with the different types of the glass, clear glass, coated glass, ceramic glass, such a way you have to split it. So, it will be enable, and for you to sell it will be easy, and who is going to come and pick your cullet, he can able to picked up easily. So, need not to worry about it. So, this will help for producing the raw glass manufacturing. Reduce material consumption, reuse it on naked glass receipt. So, when you get a naked glass receipt, basically naked glass means the truck has only the A-frame with a polythene car with a jolly board. Basically you do not have a protection of the glass which is not a solar or thermal insulated glass, thermal coated glasses. Basically it is a clear glasses where you do not want to spend for packing. So, this is basically it is called a naked glass from manufacturer to processor or dealers, distributor. The manufacturer would dispatch through the glass through the truck in a naked conditions, not packed conditions, that is all. So, this is the naked glass, and corrugated pads. It can be used your own dispatches of your vehicle on when you are processed glass, when you are dispatched to respective sizes. Those when you get the raw material, these are the corrugated pad that can be reused. And thermocols, this basically thermocol as a pile separators widely used for raw glass while they dispatch from one place to other place. So, the same thermocol can be used at your places, need not to throw it outside or need not to burn it or misuse it, you can reuse it. And reclaimed rubber pads, yes, these are though for identification of tonnage of like how many sheets of you received it, you can identify through this tonnage pad. It is a reclaimed rubber pad. So, if you can identify for the number of receipt of glass through, you can easily identify, you can count 1, 2, 3 like this. So, however much the glass has been stacked on the rubber pads, the impression would be printed on the reclaimed rubber pad, you can measure it. So, you need not to throw it. So, this can be used when you dispatch from your place to processor place to the customer site, this can be reusable. Next we will move on to packed glass receipt. So, basically packed glass would have a wood. So, naked glass would not have a wood. So, that is the most important point which you have to look at it here. So, these woods like Nile, end cap, these are end caps, and blue polythene, reclaimable pads, steel straps for winding the surfaces from manufacturer to processor. These would have, you would have noticed the steel strap have been tied on over of the wooden pile. So the same can be used for your own dispatches. For example, if you use export dispatches, the same wood can be used along with the steel straps. You need not invest for new. And aluminum foil, yeah, you can store it properly in your solar and the thermal coated glasses, like high performance glasses, silver coated glasses, basically silver, double silver coated glasses can be protected with help of aluminum foil. Teser tape, basically it is a periphery of the edges. Basically this will, you will see on only the coated surfaces, like especially for double silver, single silver, triple silver glasses should have this teser tape to protect glasses from oxidization. So these tapes can be reusable at the time of use storage, I mean you are using it. These desiccant, yes, all the packed glass condition receipt, you would have identified this desiccant. So basically the desiccant, which is nothing but it will absorb the moisture, okay. So this desiccant can be used and for your own processing. Next, glass offcut utilizations. So basically how effectively you can use your offcuts. So you have to name it, like name of the product, product code, glass size, thickness, invoice number, fish number, date of opening, date of packing, name of the person who was doing it, this receipt and taking back, and whatever remark you want to give it, whether pile is broken or the scratches, whatever you want to name it, you can give here. So this is the offcut utilization chart where people can easily identify and can be taken to the processing. If you are not using this, you cannot identify what the glass it is, whether it is a solar control or it is a coated glass, it is a hard coated or soft coated, at what size it is, when the process, when it was come, what is the shelf life, which cannot be addressed. So if you use this such a label, you can easily utilize this offcut on your processing. Glass powders, next is grinding operation. At the time of dry grinding, you would have to understand the glass powder spillover around the surfaces where you can collect those glass powders. Glass powder can be collected from like this. So single edger, double edger, you can get a glass powders. So application of glass powder, recycled glass powder is waste turned into the usable, which is basically waste is converting into the wealth. The soda lime glass powder dominates the use of the glass in industrial sector, various industry like paint industry. It has anti-corrosion characteristics in the field of paint and lining. It is also used in the reinforcement of thermoplastics. So basically these glass flake, this granular powder will be used for paint manufacturing or lining, whoever is going to coat for anti-corrosive, for example seawater piping, is the inside you want to coat it, those pigment along with the pigment paint should have this glass flake. So glass would it will protect that seawater corrosion, basically the erosion, the sea, which is if you draw from the sea for a thermal power plant. So those pipeline inside should not to get corroded, because those pipelines are MS pipelines. So inside lining when you use it, so these glaze flakes are widely used to those applications as a anti-corrosive nature. So applications like you can have a decorative purpose, fusing can be done, you can have such a beautiful bowl for interior application, you can have it. Having said that, like you can see the inside of the pump where in order to avoid from because these are the pumps are widely used for seawater collecting pump, will be sucked from the sea, will be passed to the clear water station to the thermal power stations. So those lining, those inside the chamber of pumps has been painted with help of glass flakes. So this like chemical or any substance, any reservoir, okay, chemical resistance you want to use inside lining, these glass flakes have been widely used. Having said that, these are the pipelines which draw from water from sea. Cutting oil. So cutting oil, how effectively you can use it? Basically the amount of cutting oil if you use less, the cutting oil use is only for cutting the glass alone, which should not spread like more than 10 centimeters. So you can see that widespread, basically you are wasting your cutting oil, thereby it is spread across the glass and it will be coating defect would come during the post tempering. During tempering, post tempering you can see that the cutting oil burnt on the coating, so you should not allow this. So cutting oil is only to resist when the cutting is happening, that will be there will not be abrasion nature, which is to give a lubrication purpose to the cutting wheel. So thereby the cutting wheel life is increased. So recommended standard cutting oil like AceCut 5250, 5503. So these are the cutting oil. So why I am saying this, it will be easily evaporated, this will not be retained. Again, if it is these oil, for example these cutting oil, you may bought this, sometimes people would go and mix with this kerosene. If you mix with kerosene, what happen? Again it will not solve your purpose of processing. Again it goes to washing machine, it will increase the pH, conductivity will be go up, so you will not get a proper washing out of which. So that's why the cutting oil usage is very important for effective utilization of process in processing industry. So you can see the scoring. So when the scoring is happening, only the lubricating purpose of cutting oil, not for the spreading across this. So yes, grinding belt, most of the people not aware of how effectively this can be used. Basically this is the triple cross belt horizontal operation in a erasing machine, where people are using this like 80 to 120 grid sizes are there. After usage of this, people will throw it away. So in order to use in effective way, you can use on your staircases, which will have a more frictions. So people step into step down, so you will have a more friction, so that people will not spill over, I mean fall. So you can hold, basically they will have a abrasions belt. So if you effectively, if you stick that, if you use on your building, aesthetically appealing performance as well as safety aspect also, you can use it. So in glass processing industry, people has to think how effectively this can be used. Next, cork pad. This is cork pad, basically this is for glass separators, widely used. So these cork separators, once you used it, you can see the foam side, white color patches side, you can stick with each other. Whenever you want it, you can open it and stick that. So you can reuse it, need not to purchase again. So you can wealth is, your money is saved if you use it properly on cork pads. Glass wastage reduction. It's a most important point which I would like to emphasize here. First in first out, FIFO, which is called FIFO. So basically when you receipt it, when you process, those glasses are to be processed at the earliest. The next lot comes, so accordingly you have to give a priority to the first in first out. Okay, you have to keep in mind. And off-cut utilization, we have discussed about it during your project. So there may be a lot of off-cuts, so people are going to be wasted like in a colored form. Colored can be recycled. Even then, if you keep it in such a big panel, for example as a color off-cut, you can keep it, stack it separately, so you can reuse it. And protection of coated glasses, like basically glass wastage in reduction. So this aluminum foil, it can be widely used for protecting your silver coated glasses. So it cannot be thrown away, it can be used. And effective optimization. So accordingly you have to plan. So you should have a software where according your project basis, so you can select a proper glass sizes, accordingly you can use it. So you have a more optimization in an effective manner, thereby you will have a considerable reduction in glass wastages. And next, move on to energy saving. Use a glass, allow its direct light, sunlight comes in, okay, there is no blinds up, light is off, okay. So you can see this, and use less power consumption monitor. For example, this monitors, there are now upcoming, there is power less, consumption less power is, it will be very consume CPU, computer processing units are there. So those if you buy, and it can be useful. Again, whatever you have old computers, it can be donated to your near schools, so thereby they can get it. They can get a benefit out of which. And switch off your computers when you are leave your office. So again, so these are the small factors, but you'll have a more effective saving on this. And use CFL chlorofluoro lamp, CFL lamp. energy saving lamp. Basically nowadays every bulb manufacturers come out with innovative ideas. So you can use LEDs bulbs, or the less usage of energy consumption, energy saving bulbs can be used. Basically switch off when it not in use, you keep it in mind and work accordingly, so you can save energy in your office. And energy saving in furnaces, proper bed load in utilization. Basically when you plan a tempering in a production, how you are going to start the production, you hope you would understand. First you have to start the higher thickness where the temperature is less temperature is required to temper the higher thickness of the glass. So basically you have to put a first 12 mm, 10 mm, 8 mm, 6 mm, 4 mm. So if you plan such a sequential, don't mixed up, like start with 4 mm and go with 12 mm, again 6 mm. If you do it, so you have a heat loss, it's going to be playing a major role here. So you have to start like big thicker, less temperature on furnace. This is how it works like that. And moreover, how effectively you can utilize your bed. So get the orders, plan accordingly how much you can load, per load you can get it, and accordingly you have to run a shift. And parameter adjustment with its quality checks using GASP, which is a glazing angle surface polarimeter, which will helpful for distortion level. And roller wave, either will be a form of digital or will be a radial level, and bow you can test it. So accordingly you can change your parameters if you are able to get the proper as per the standard. So in terms of reduction of heat, heating time, quenching time, cooling time, if you considerable maybe 5 second or 2 second, if you frozen parameters to, if you reduce it, thereby you can achieve energy saving as well. And individual energy meter for each machine is most important. So how much it consume, if you are planning today, if you are doing it this is the effective manner, how much it is the reading is there. Tomorrow if you go and come up with a new plan, how much energy reading can be saved. So this will help enable you to understand the energy saving on the furnaces. So this is all about today. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much.